Hi, my name is Mark Russell, and I'm a financial wellness board member with National Debt Relief. I have over a decade of experience working in financial services world, and it's my goal to make very complex financial concepts that you hear every day. I want to make them easy so you can transform your financial life. In this video, we're going to do a deeper dive into the differences between Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcy. If used right, filing for bankruptcy can be a powerful tool to helping people who struggle with debt. However, the different types of bankruptcies can become very confusing quite quickly. Though it's important to know the differences, you can take whatever route is best for you in your situation. While bankruptcy may sound scary and can seem like an overwhelming process, it could be helpful if you're currently struggling with a lot of debt. By the end of 2023, more than 400 US citizens have filed for bankruptcy. So it's not as uncommon as you might think, and it might be a helpful tool if you're struggling with your personal finances. The two types of bankruptcies that we're going to go over today is Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And as both are classified as bankruptcy, there are some huge differences between the two. Chapter 13 is on average 3 times as expensive as Chapter 7, and Chapter 7 takes way less time than Chapter 13. However, there might be more repercussions for filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy than you would with Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So let's dive into the differences between them so you know which one might be the right option for your unique situation. The main difference between Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcy lies in how they handle your debts. Chapter 7 includes a liquidation of non-exempt assets like a second car to pay off your creditors in a relatively short period of time. On the other hand, Chapter 13, the court will provide you with a repayment plan to pay off part or all of your debts through a repayment plan over a larger period of time. Here's a clear overview of the main differences between Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Chapter 7 includes a liquidation of non-exempt assets, basically anything that's not necessary for home or for work. And this may include property too. However, if you're still on time with your mortgage and your car loan payments, the court may rule that you can keep your property and your vehicle. Qualification is based off of income, household size, and your state. Also with Chapter 7, it's relatively fast. On average, it takes about 4 to 6 months from filing for bankruptcy to the final discharge. Also, it's relatively cheap due to a simpler process. Now let's move on to Chapter 13. Chapter 13 includes a court-approved repayment plan to repay all or a part of your debts. You make monthly payments to a court-appointed trustee who distributes the money to your creditors. Also, it doesn't include liquidating your assets. That means that you get to keep your house and your car, for example. There are no strict income limits, but there is a debt limit of $465,275 in unsecured debt. Also, Chapter 13 is relatively slow. On average, a repayment plan is made for a period between 3 to 5 years, but that depends on your income and your total amount of debt. Also, Chapter 13 is relatively expensive due to the duration of the program and its more complex nature. Now let's go over the specifics of the costs and the duration of filing for Chapter 17 versus Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Both types of bankruptcy include a mandatory court filing fee, which is set up by the federal government. For Chapter 7 bankruptcy, there's a flat fee of $338, and for Chapter 13 bankruptcy, there's a flat fee of $313. Because you need an attorney to take your case to court with both types of bankruptcies, both Chapter 7 and 13 include attorney fees. This depends on the complexity of your case, your lawyer's experience, and what state you live in. According to Debt.com, for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, attorney costs are typically between $1,500 and $2,000. For Chapter 13 bankruptcy, this is typically between $3,000 and $5,000. On average, Chapter 13 bankruptcy is a little bit more expensive because it's more complex. What makes Chapter 13 bankruptcy more expensive as well is the fact that you have to pay the so-called trustee fee. This is a fee that you don't have to pay with Chapter 7 bankruptcy. During your repayment period in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, you'll have to make your repayments to a trustee, and this trustee will further manage your money and distribute it to your creditors. And as you could probably guess, this service is not free. And as I just mentioned, the typical cost might be between $1,500 and $3,000, which is calculated as a percentage of the monthly amount you're repaying towards your creditors. All in all, on average, a Chapter 7 bankruptcy might set you back anywhere between $1,800 and $2,300, while a Chapter 13 bankruptcy might cost you anywhere between $4,000 $4,800 and $8,300. Please note that these are just averages. The actual cost might vary depending on your very unique situation. Plus, the federal filing fee may be included in the attorney fee that you have to pay. So you always want to ask your attorney about this. Also, another fee that you can't forget about is a fee for taking the 2 mandatory bankruptcy education courses. By law, you have to complete 2 credit counseling courses whenever you file for bankruptcy, which could set you back another $50. The first course, the pre-bankruptcy credit counseling course, must be completed before filing. And the second, the pre-discharge creditor education, must take place after you file. As I mentioned, the duration of Chapter 7 is between 4 to 6 months on average. This is time it takes between filing for bankruptcy and getting your case passed in court. The duration of Chapter 13 is between 3 to 5 years. This is the time it takes from filing for bankruptcy to making the last repayment to your trustee. How long it takes specifically depends on your income relative to the median income in your state and the repayment period that's appointed to you by court. Now that you know the main differences between Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcy, let's talk about the pros and cons of each. A pro of Chapter 7 is that it's both faster and cheaper than Chapter 13, but the con is that you could lose your house or your car. Another pro is that you can start fresh pretty quickly, but the con is that you have to meet the certain income requirements. Another con is that you could have a negative impact on your credit score relative to filing for Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Now moving over to the pros and cons of Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Chances are you'll keep your car in your home. Another pro is that there are no income requirements, but the con is that it's more expensive than Chapter 7. A potential pro is that paying for the attorney fees may be part of your repayment plan, so you probably don't have to come up with all the costs when filing for bankruptcy. Again, this is a pro compared to Chapter 7, but a con of Chapter 13 is that it will take a longer time on average than Chapter 7. Now you might be asking, when do you meet the requirements for filing for bankruptcy? And when could it be a good move to file? To qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you have to pass what they call a means test, which is done in court. A means test compares your household income to the median income for your state by family size. If the court rules that your income is lower than the median income in your state for your household size, you could qualify for Chapter 7. But even if your income is higher than the median income, you may qualify if your court rules that you're not able to repay back your debts within a certain period of time. Chapter 7 is typically suited for people who struggle with unsecured debt, have few assets, and have a lower income relative to the median income for their state. Chapter 13, on the other hand, has no specific income limits. However, it must be enough to develop a realistic repayment plan. With Chapter 13 bankruptcy, both secured and unsecured debt can't be dealt with. So if you have a steady income to cover your monthly payment and you want to make sure you get to keep your assets, Chapter 13 might be the route that you want to go. However, every situation is unique, and that's why it could be smart to consult a debt expert to help you with your situation. Now, to quickly recap all the information that we talked about today, Chapter 7 is both cheaper and faster than Chapter 13 bankruptcy on average. However, Chapter 7 bankruptcy might involve losing your house or maybe even your car, and it may have more far-reaching implications than Chapter 13 bankruptcy. However, you may qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy depending on your state, your income, your family size, which is why you might want to consult with a debt expert before moving forward. Every situation is unique and may require a different approach. If you find yourself struggling with debt and are thinking about filing for bankruptcy, debt relief companies like National Debt Relief are there to help. If you have any questions or would like a free, no obligation debt relief consultation call, visit their website at nationaldebtrelief.com. If you happen to have any other financial questions, check out the other videos in this series on National Debt Relief YouTube channel. It's our goal to make very complex financial concepts very easy so you can transform your financial life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.